podcast, we gon' talk about it, yeah, we get it poppin'. Every Wednesday it be essential, we are the only options. Who they trust with their topics, even if it is toxic. Life and podcast, we gon' be here just to talk about it. We gon' talk about it. We gon' talk about it. Life and podcast, we gon' be here just to talk about it.
Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Life Be Life and Podcast. Back up on the scene, nah, I mean, I'm your host, Tony D.
And I'm your host, D to the J. Still in the building like I ain't never left. And guess what? It's still a G thing. Brody.
What's up, my boy?
Hey, man. I'm very excited about today. I'm said I'm geeked and I'm fired up. Hey. You know why, man? Because 2025, I seen a post, man. It's time for the truth to come out. It's time for stuff to just, Cat kicked it off last year on Club Shay, and everybody thought people was crazy people. And oh man, things is rolling downhill. So look, I'm real excited though, man. What's good with you? How you feeling tonight?
Well, I ain't got the big head or nothing, but hey, my birds in the NFC Championship game. Y'all see it all behind me here. Hey, I am ecstatic, man. Hopefully we can get it done, you know what I'm saying, get to the Super Bowl. But it's Wednesday, man. I'm having a good week. Life is always therapy. And by the way, man, if y'all streaming on Facebook, YouTube, we got comments, you know what I'm saying? We want to hear from you. Matter of fact, let me do this real quick, just because. There we go. Bottom of the page, you see our banner, and that's where all you can contact us. So, bro, I mean, I guess ain't nothing else to say, but let's get to it, right?
Let's get to it, man. Before we kick this thing off, just because of how sensitive a topic it is, one, we're going to walk into this thing as delicately as possible due to the things that are going to be said and due to the nature of the topic. We just want to advise you that this may be a triggering topic, but we're going to navigate through it again as delicately as possible. So that being the case, bro, with them disclosures, and let's get all of that legal about the way.
The views and opinions expressed on the Life Be Life and podcast are solely those of the artists, producers, guests, and hosts of the show. Any numbers, stats, or stated resources that are given, we do ask that you verify that information for yourself.
All right, y'all. We back up, and just as we further in this topic, anything that we bring to the table, Life Be Life podcast, we always want to make sure, you know what I'm saying, it's wholesome. We always want to make sure, to the best of our ability, that it's, informational and not finger pointing, for us to be able to govern ourselves accordingly, you know what I'm saying? Protect our loved ones, whether it be financial, whether it be mental, whether it be spiritual, whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? So we thank y'all for tuning in, man. We about to get to it. What you got, Brody?
So look, we have a very special guest, right? I don't even really want to give too much away. Bro, introduce her. Let's bring her on. Let's just jump right. We're going to jump straight into it and welcome her to the show. Let her introduce herself, and we're going to jump to this topic.
So this young lady I'm about to bring on, man, been knowing each other a couple of years, and it's acquaintance through Facebook. As we gravitated to Life Be Life and podcast, seen some interesting things going on in her life. And we're Philly fans, as well. So, we just began to communicate on that level. And then as we reached out to her a little while ago for the first show, you know what I'm saying, she's been rocking with us ever since. So on that note, man, I want to present to some and introduce to others Miss Shantae, and I'm not going to give away her governmental. She'll say that she wanted to be said.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Can't complain. What about yourself? How you doing?
Doing great. Doing good.
So tonight's topic, of course, is My Truth Shall Live. And you know, when you reached out to me, what, maybe like the 6th, 7th of this month, you brought some stuff to me that I was just like, wow. I was I was at work when this happened, and I had to get off the floor. Like it really just took me by surprise. But it was a topic that is much needed. I'm very glad that you had the courage um, to really step out there. So before we get started, I want you to kind of just paint a picture for our viewers, just the everyday life as a child. Like, what was that household like? Siblings, just so we can kind of get a little background.
Okay, so basically, both my parents were foster kids. Um, and when my mother was 14 years old, she ran away from one of her foster homes and she ran to this particular house where she later had me and raised me in this home. Now, this home was a mother, a father, and 4 children. Um, they had moved from Jacksonville, Florida to New Jersey. And the reason why they moved is because the father was very promiscuous in Florida. So the wife figured, let's move him to another state. He's going to change, but he didn't. They became my mother's foster parents. When I was 2 years old, my father went to jail, and my mother was a single mom, and she was working nonstop, and she needed someone to babysit myself and my younger brother, so she got her foster dad to do it. And that was the first time he ever sexually assaulted me when I was 2.
Mm.
But growing up in the house, from the outside looking in, they were a very well-known family. The mother, she had a daycare center. She was a foster mother. The father, the one that molested me, he worked in law enforcement. They had the Cosby life. The the community honored them. They gave them awards, for being prestigious, for being great people. But no one knew behind closed doors the verbal, the emotional, the sexual um, abuse that myself was going through.
So was this a situation where I know you're saying that nobody knew, but was it more so that they were being protected? Like how, I guess ultimately, so let me back up. You started at age 2. Through what age? Like what is this timeline?
So the first time he ever sexually assaulted me was the age of 2. The last time he ever did it was around the age of 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now was she aware? Foster mom?
So growing up, I didn't know too much about sexual abuse, sexual assault. Even as an adult, I didn't really know the cycle of abuse or the grooming. I knew none of that. Um, to be completely honest with you, I'm learning about this, and I learned more about it within the last 6 months through therapy. Like, there are things that happened to me as a child that I thought was normal, and I'm just now learning that I was groomed.
Right.
And the same thing with the family. Like, growing up, I thought they didn't know until I said something. But now that I'm an adult and now that I'm in therapy, I think back and I knew that they knew. They knew. And they just turned their head to it like it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it got as far as when I was 5, his daughter, um, she walked in on me in the bathroom. I was in the bathtub, and when she walked in on me, I covered my body, and she suspected something because in her mind she's thinking, um you're a 5-year-old, why are you covering
Why
your
would you
body?
cover
You
it
don't
up? Right.
have anything. Yeah, what do what are
Right.
you doing? So she asked me to get out of the tub, in which I did. I got out of the tub. She took me into her parents' room. I remember I was like standing there in a towel. I was so scared. I was so nervous. I was shaking. And she was like, has someone touched you? And she had to ask me several times because I refused to say anything because I was so scared. And I had no idea how to tell this woman, who was my aunt, my godmother, that it was her dad that was molesting me. So I said it was someone else. So from the age of 5, I had to hold on to this secret that my abuser is still abusing me and he's not being held accountable for it. Someone else was blamed for it. And I'm still in the midst of it all. And I believe she knew.
Okay.
And I believe she did whatever she needed to do to protect her dad.
So did the information ever get outside of the house? So we're at the point now where, you're being questioned, you're being grilled because you shouldn't know what an adult or even an early teenager where, you're covering up your body. And so you have said that it's somebody else. How does this thing get outside of your household, or does it? Like, how does it go through the street, through the city? How does it spread?
It never does. It never gets out. First and foremost, I grew up in a household where whatever goes on in this house stays in this house. That was drilled in my head. I knew that like the back of my hand, and I lived by that. And also, he worked in law enforcement, so I was aware of, his weapons. I was afraid of him, so it was so much fear there. And just being a little girl, being fearful of this man, I lived in constant fear. Um, and I never said anything to anyone. I want to say, as I got older, I did start to tell like my really, really close friends, like my best friend. I started telling people like that. But then when
Like
I was
older, like when?
elementary school, older,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But then when I was 16 years old, him and I, the man that molested me, we had an incident at his house. So I'm in his house and I'm on the phone with my childhood friend, and he's groping me. And by this time, I had been molested for 14 years, not consistently. And I think that's what saved my life. And I think that's what made, I think that's why the abuse didn't progress, is because my mother moved us around a lot. So there were times where he didn't have access to me. But for the most part, he abused me for 14 years. So by the time that I'm 16, there is a rage inside of me towards him. It's a scary rage, So that particular day when he groped me, that rage raised up inside of my chest. And I was on the phone with my childhood friend, and I was telling her what was going on, and I pretended that she was his daughter. And I said, "Your dad is touching me." And then I hung up the phone, thinking that that's gonna like make him go away, but it didn't. He still did what he did. He was more aggressive. So that's when I went into the kitchen. I got a knife, and I held the knife to him. And I told him, and I said, "If you ever in your life touch me again, I will kill you. I will." He's never touched me again after that day. But right after I held the knife to him, his daughter pulls up in the yard. He runs out the door to tell her what happened, because he's thinking that was her on the phone the entire time. It was never her. He goes
Got
and
it.
tells her everything that happens. Now, this is at 16. So she knows at 16, and she still, till this day, will never admit that she knew.
So the person that was named, kind of going back early when everything came out, and you said you named somebody else. Like, was this somebody that was just a random schoolmate? Like, who was this person, and what happened
Yeah.
with him?
So he was a peer. He was a peer. He was a little older than me, literally like the first name that came to my head.
Okay.
And I don't know the truth about that case. There's so much that I don't know, um, because first and foremost, I can only tell you guys what I think, because I've asked my godmother, which is his daughter, for the truth, and she just refuses to give it to me.
Okay.
But I went through this entire process of going to the hospital, being examined, going to talk to social workers, talking to detectives, and my mother never knew, never knew. So till this day, I'm still trying to figure out how she did all of this without my mom's consent. So all of the information I have about the case, I don't know what's true or not. I believe she told me he got probation, that they never really charged him for anything serious, that they moved him to another home because he was a foster child in our neighborhood. So they
Okay.
moved him to another home, um, and everything was fine. That's what I heard last from them.
So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
as of now, so we've gotten the backstory leading up, and I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. So why now? This particular
Um,
time, what has transpired that made you want to become accountable but vulnerable at the same time?
Many reasons. Number one, the average woman is 52 when she reports, and I like a challenge. I'm 39, so that's the first reason. Um,
Mm.
Number two, because I'm learning through therapy that pedophiles. Okay, so I just put this on Facebook the other day. Alcoholics are addicted to alcohol. If they relapse, they take a drink. Pedophiles are addicted to sexually assaulting children. If they relapse, they sexually assault a child, right?
Wow. Wow.
So there's no rehabilitation for a pedophile. So my abuser told me that I was his only victim, that he's never done this to anyone, he's never done it to his blood. This is what he's telling me. I'm learning through therapy that's probably a lie. It's probably a lie, right? Um, so he's going to do it again, or he probably already has done it again. And the reason why he can do it again is because I've never said anything, you know? Um, and then I think when I got wind that he was marrying an apostle that had a church filled with children, I knew right then and there I could not sleep at night knowing that there's a possibility that he would have access to those kids. I knew I had to say something then.
Man,
Wow.
it's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's deep. So we definitely admonish your courage, because as we first started off, it was audio only. People could come on and say, what I'm saying, whatever. Now this is video, so now there's a face behind the voice, behind the story. As you are addressing this, and as you are um trying to heal, let's say that, and survive, has there ever been a point that you thought to yourself, this was my fault?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Um, I still deal with that. I think the guilt, the shame, and the embarrassment is like the hardest thing you have to deal with. And it's so unfortunate because it's not your fault. It's like he should feel guilty. He should be embarrassed. He should be ashamed, but survivors or victims, we carry those three things for a very long time. And I'm still working through that in therapy, still working through there's well, I guess for me, in my case, someone else was blamed, so I carry that guilt, and then the way he made me feel, as a child. He First and foremost, pedophiles, they're very strategic, okay, and they prey on children who are unprotected and children that are unloved, okay. And he verified that for me. He let me know, like, this is why I'm doing that to you. So not only did he take my innocence away from me, he also made me feel even more unloved on top of already being unloved. My mother was a workaholic and my father was in jail. I had no one. No, and my mother, she barely knew any of her biological family. My father, they're estranged. So it's like I was the perfect child for him. The perfect child for him. And he knew that. Um, so you carry that shame around, for years, thinking like, oh man, I wasn't good enough. Like I wasn't good enough. You had to abuse me because I wasn't good enough, So
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
lot to work.
Yeah. Listen, I want to do this. It's 8:19. I think it's a good point to pull up. We got to pay these bills, man. Butchie's Meat Market. We got to pay them invoices, get these bills paid. Um, Look, when we come back, I want to kind of talk about how these things have made an impact in your life and kind of the battles that you now are willing to fight and are fighting. So, lifers, stay tapped. We here. Take us out, brother.
Here. Yes, sir.
Yo, this is Ryan the Gamer, owner of them Snack Boys. You are now tapped in to the Life Be Life podcast.
They care about Team Soup. Life be life. No fail.
Hey yo, life be lifing, so let's talk about it. Tune in now.
Man, if y'all haven't been tuned in to the Life Be Lifing podcast, y'all sleeping.
Back up on the scene now, I mean.
Yeah, I had to hold my head high. I had to let go my pride. I had some worries and some fears, but then I left it to God. Cause honestly, I feel it coming and I know it's my time. The ones that got all this, the ones that ain't got a pot. Imagine throwing a fit when you can be out that spot. You boys still touching on that stove when mama said it was hot. I had a dream, I woke up as king. I'm about to go take me a march. Get ready, get set on your mark. Let's go, I'm taking a start. And all of my dreams got down on my knees. I had to go pray to the Lord. Protect me cause I'm one-on-one. They hate that I'm not one of them. I had a dream, I woke up as king. I'm about to go take me a march. Get ready, get set on your mark. Let's go, I'm taking a start. And all of my dreams got down on my knees. I had to go pray to the Lord. Protect me cause I'm one-on-one. They hate that I'm not one of them. Mama, why they keep doubting me? Yeah, why they won't say they proud of me? Put blood, sweat, tears, my time to see. I'm on where all that honesty. Been feeling like Schmurd. Boys of the trenches, man, lady trying to get back to poverty. Gotta live up the kids and send them to school. The trenches can't keep raising prodigy. That's what the knowledge be. Coming together, we gotta do good for the kids. Losing our nieces and nephews to nieces and nephews. Ernie Hurd trying to make it us men. Put down the guns and pick up some gloves and knuckle up, wobble like men. Tired of the fake thugs and fake drugs, only doing it for a trend. I had a dream, I woke up as king. I'm about to go take me a march. Get ready, get set on your mark. Let's go, I'm taking a start. And all of my dreams got down on my knees. I had to go pray to the Lord. Protect me cause I'm one-on-one. They hate that I'm not one of them. I had a dream, I woke up as king. I'm about to go take me a march. Get ready, get set on your mark. Let's go, I'm taking a start. And all of my dreams got down on my knees. I had to go pray to the Lord. Protect me cause I'm one-on-one. They hate that I'm not one of them.
Yeah, we back up on the scene, man. All right, bro.
Crazy.
You said we was gonna get right back in it, so let's get right back in it.
Man, it's really like we twins, but you came out a year before me. And we'll talk later because I ain't even have to tell you to play that song. That's crazy. So, Shantae, a few weeks back, I seen something you posted, and it said that, quote, you thought I would take this to the grave. And you really spoke to the fact that this was just eating you up inside. What really prompted 2025 to be your year of truth? Like, how did we just say, you know what, enough is enough?
I didn't have any intentions on, any premeditations on coming out with my truth in 2025. Like I said, we just went into the new year. I think I actually came out with the truth on January 1st. But we just got into the new year. But I had known about him having access to these children for a couple of weeks, and I just could not sleep. I could not sleep. And then the night before, which was New Year's Eve, something just hit me. I was so, I don't know. I think I had like this anger in me, but I think it was really hurt. Like to just think about how much healing that I still have to do. And that there's a possibility another little girl may be me,
Right.
and I just I can't, I can't allow another person to live like this, so
Right.
whatever it takes. And I knew, I'm not, a stranger to telling my story. I've been telling my story for over 10 years now. It's just this particular one is highlighted right now, but
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of the victim shaming. I was ready for it. My
Yeah.
therapist prepared me for it.
Yeah.
She's like, when you go public,
Be
people are
prepared.
entitled to their opinions, their perspectives, they're
Yeah.
entitled to block you. And I'm just like, whatever it takes, to save these kids, whatever it takes.
Right. And we seen that. I was present for the live that you had maybe 2 weeks back, and I seen a lot of the negative comments. It kind of tripped me out because I was seeing a lot of them even come from women, and some of the comments. And bro, I know we spoke about it, but it was things like, girl, you lying, you must be in love. Why now? You mad? You want somebody back? All these different things. So the burden of having all this information bottled up for over 20 plus years, deciding now that, hey, I'm going to speak my truth no matter what. Some people I seen on there said you're a liar. And how do you take accountability for a falsehood told as a child in comparison to somebody saying, oh, but we're also going to say what you're now saying happened to be true, that we're going to put in the same category as a lie. So how do you accept what your part in what happened as a kid and separate it from what somebody did against you?
Because first and foremost, I had to learn, and I'm still learning, is that I was a child, right? I was at a 5-year-old's level. My cognitive was 5-year-olds. My thinking was 5-year-olds. At a 5-year-old level, I was 5.
Right.
So I'm now 39, and I cannot in any way, shape, or form try to hold a 5-year-old accountable for what was done or what was said.
Right.
It was done and said at that time from a 5-year-old level, from a place of fear, and you just cannot hold a 5-year-old accountable for it. You just can't.
Something that I just thought about, and I don't want to get too far from where we were going, but at 5 years old, and even saying that, I know you were mentioning the young boy was, a year, maybe 2 years or so older. So we're talking about a 5-year-old and potentially a 6, 7-year-old. And
I'm thinking he was a little older,
okay.
Maybe 10, 11, maybe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So this is more so going to magnify what I'm thinking. So at what point would a 10-year-old, 9 or 10, 11-year-old that is not an immediate family member, cousin, sibling, be in the home with my 5-year-old daughter, opposite sex, and there's no type of parenting, there's no guidance, there's no direction. So there should have been some questions and conversations that circled around, when you say, yo, it was, blase skippe.
So it's funny that you said that, because I remember exactly what I said to my godmother about this boy. And when I tell you, it's crazy, because it's something I saw in the movie. Like, I was so afraid when she was asking me these questions. I was just coming up with stuff off the top of my head. And I told her that me and my friend were walking down the street, and this 10-year-old boy grabbed me, dragged me in his house, and my friend, and no one saw nothing. Nobody saw nothing.
Gotcha.
Like, we live in a neighborhood with tons of kids outside 24/7. Like, you mean to tell me nobody saw nothing? Like,
right.
the story that was not believable. It was not believable. So
right. And I'm gonna say this, bro, and then I'm gonna let you, because I know you got some things cooking, and we got some comments. Just as it kind of just deals with the fact here, we have the kids here. Everything is kind of taken about. I guess I really just cannot get past the fact that nobody was able to say anything. Nobody was holding anybody accountable. Nobody was coming to your defense. That just kind of gets me. You had also said some things on the live, but I want to kind of save some time, bro. Go ahead and jump in. I know you got some things that we got in the comments that look like as well.
So this question came in privately, and y'all, please, if you have legitimate questions, go ahead and comment on whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. We'll do our best, you know what I'm saying, to get them answered or get them
And keep them
shown. And
respectful.
that conversation can always continue after the show.
And keep them
Um,
respectful. Please
so
and
this
thank
question in particular, Shantae, is pretty much was asking, what are some of your challenges on a day-to-day basis dealing with this?
I've made tremendous progress in therapy, I must say. Um, but I still suffer from anxiety because I lived in constant fear. You know, there was a time where I worked for him. I just learned that he groomed me, and he would like beg me to have sex. At this time, I was 11. He would beg me to have sex with him, and I remember always being tensed, and I remember having that anxiety, and that followed me my entire life. So I have to work through that in therapy. Um, Definitely my self-worth. So what a lot of people don't understand, a lot of women, when they go when we go through abusive relationships, I don't know, but a lot of us never think back to our sexual abuse as a child. We never connect the two, but they're directly connected. So when my abuser sexually abused me at the age of 2, he literally put a stamp on my head that says abuse her, because he took away, my self-worth, my self-confidence, my innocence. Well, I never had it. I was 2. I was never even able to develop it. So I grew up as a woman who never realized her worth. I grew up in a home with other women who did not realize their worth. And I grew up in a male-centered home. So so now that I'm an adult and now that I'm in therapy, I'm being deprogrammed and relearning like my upbringing from all of this abuse. But definitely anxiety, definitely having to just rewire and reprogram my brain to realize that I'm a worthy woman. I believe he's definitely responsible for the abusive relationships that I was in. He's responsible for that because I never thought I was worthy to be with someone that can treat me right. So
Yeah.
that sexual abuse as a child, it follows you throughout your life. It really does.
Do you think anything like, have you ever heard of like, I guess I could equate it to almost be like an abuser syndrome. Like, I know that there's residue that's there. There's things that are a part of the after effects, but abuse syndrome meaning like, and not saying it's a situation that you may have went through, but do you look at somebody that's similar in characteristics to your attacker and find yourself having that rage? Are you triggered by somebody, that might have that same cologne smell? Like, is there some type of abuser syndrome that you still deal with?
So actually, not in that sense.
Okay.
My syndrome is more so I was an unprotected, unloved child that was abused, and water seeks its own level. So I attracted, past tense, men that were also abused, and they never processed their abuse, so they were abusive. They became like their abusers. And I stuck around because I know what it's like to be abused. I know what it's like to be unloved. I know what it's like to be unprotected. And I want to fix you and I want to love you. And I watched my mother stay with my father while he was abusive. And I watched the man that abused me, his wife stayed with him when he was cheating and molesting kids. So that's all I knew. That was what was modeled before me.
Yeah.
So that was my syndrome. And I didn't get out of that mindset until I went no contact with that family and had to really look back at my life and say, oh, all of that was wrong. All of that was a lie, and live life for me.
Bro?
So, and we always want you to, to tell this to the best of your ability. Um, public wise? Why public? Were there any attempts to made to reach out? Were people just not hearing you? And you like, hey, all right, I gave you a chance, you know what I'm saying, to hear me out, and now I don't feel heard. So now I got to do what I got to do.
So I've came out before. Like I said, at 16, they were made aware. In my 20s, I said it again. 10 years ago, I said it again. Like, the family called me a liar, you know. Um, I may have spoke about it publicly, but I guess not as much as I am now.
Mhm.
But what I'm learning is that so we're dealing with, this man is 77-ish, right? So we're dealing with the older generation, right? So I'm learning that this is somewhat normal to them. Their grandkids being sexually abused, like, they're used to that. They were probably sexually abused, you know. Because I look at his family, the ones that were attacking me, the things that they would say, that was just projection. Like, when they would say, "Are you in love with him?" Because thank God that's not my story, you know. But it's pretty common where women they do get attached and they do fall in love with their abusers, you know. But it was really common in the older generation, you know. Like, sexual assault didn't just start. This goes back to slavery, you know. So the older the generation,
Yeah.
the more accepting they are of it, you know. So
Mm. Wow.
I could have called his 77-something-year-old wife and been
Wow.
like, he's a pedophile, don't let him around kids. And she could have been like, okay, sure, no problem. And then let it been that. And he still went on to molest kids, you know?
Mhm.
Or I can go to social media with my 20-something thousand followers and reach 500,000 people and let them know he's a pedophile, don't have him around your kids. So I just decided to take that route, and it worked.
True. And you telling your truth. And I asked you a few weeks back, like, to what extent, like, help me understand how we gonna turn up. Like, what are you willing to do? And even on the live that I seen some of that person's, the abuser's family, attacking you.
Yeah.
And I seen the inboxes. And hey, lifers, this girl keeping receipts. And
Yeah.
so one of the young ladies, and I believe it was the abuser's niece.
Man, we should have had
Uh,
it emailed. I could have presented it.
man, I didn't want to do it like that because of the poor representation in literacy. Um, I did not want there was some words and I was just like, what's that? What's that? But ideally what she did say, the one thing I was able to gather that she said was basically, what's up with Steve Wilkos? You popping that noise, let's
Yep.
take it to the stage.
Yeah.
And so look, I leaned back, right? And I
Like,
just
oh
waited,
shit.
I just waited.
Challenge.
And then I seen the response. And did you reach out to Steve Wilkos?
Yes, I did.
You
Yes,
want to
I did.
talk to us about that real quick? What
So,
happened? What was the response? Where we at?
first and foremost, I should have never had to do that, right? I am the accuser, not the accused. If he's so innocent and he's a pastor and he wants to do this and do that, he should be running to the Steve show to get his name clear, right? But anyway, I reached out to them that morning. It was a Sunday morning. I didn't think they were going to get back to me. A couple of hours later, the producer texted me and was like, we can do this week. I mean, no, next week. So her and I were talking on the phone. She said, give me a number to his contact. I gave her his daughter's number because she's the one that's been very vocal about it.
Mm-hmm.
This has been like well over a week now. The producers has been calling them, texting them, leaving voicemails, and everyone has gone ghost. Yeah. The last I heard, they sent me a text message, which I think it was either from his phone number or his dead wife's phone number, which is so sad, saying that they called off their engagement. Now leave Apostle Brenda alone. But this was never about Apostle Brenda nor that wedding or engagement. This was always about the children in that church, always. And that doesn't suffice. The engagement being called off does not suffice. He needs to be away from those kids. That's what needs to happen.
I'm gonna mention this comment down here. Shout out to Noel. Appreciate you. Hey, shout out to everybody who watching.
Yeah,
We just appreciate you
yeah.
watching tonight. But
Hey, that's Kentucky in the building. That's
okay.
Kentucky.
So it just pretty much states, do you ever see yourself having a conversation with this person and just asking why?
So no, I first off, I already know why. It's a cycle of abuse. 9 out of 10 times, he probably was sexually molested himself. I look back at his family history. He was the only boy of like 10 plus girls, very promiscuous. Those are all signs of sexual abuse. So that's why he abused me. Secondly, his mind can't even comprehend anything that's a normalcy of sexuality. It just can't. His brain is wired differently than most people. So having a conversation with him would really be a waste of my time and my energy. He has faked apologized to me, but when he did not say what he did to me. He said, I apologize to you for the stuff that I did when I was in the world and I was drinking and I was smoking. And he said stuff because he couldn't say for sexually assaulting you, for molesting you. He couldn't say that because he's not really sorry for that, which means he's never going to change that. He's never held himself accountable. He's never going to change. And I won't even try and make him understand. Like, I just won't.
Yeah. Understand.
Before you
Look, bro.
take over, bro,
Yep.
if he were to admit and take accountability, what would that change?
Honestly, I can't even answer that question. I don't
Fair
even.
enough.
That's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's an honest answer. Bro, go ahead and take us to this final break, man. Let's run this disclosure, get this break in, and we're gonna do it too.
Oh man, I was engaged in the story. But you know what?
You want to keep going?
I got some.
Okay.
I got some. All right, and we'll be right back with more Life Be Life and podcast.
Different grind. I am just on a different time. Yeah, this that different grind. I am just on a different time. I got godly ambition. I got godly ambition. All prayer, all grace, no wishes. I got godly ambition. Yeah. When you grind for the Lord, you ain't got time to waste. I got time today. I got time to pray. I got time to talk. I'ma walk the walk. Never perfect though. Know it's worth it though. I'ma keep it 100. That's real talk, no frontin'. Might let it blow like a trumpet. Got gospel for who want it. Unconcealed. I ain't worried about a pill. Independent. Nope. I ain't looking for no major deal. Cause I pull up with ambition. Even if the top be missing. No, that don't change my vision. Still on that great commission. Still trusting God's provision. Still preaching He is risen. Still committed to what was written. No care about opinions. I know where I'm living. Yeah. This the different grind. I am just on a different time. Yeah, this that different grind. I am just on a different time. I got godly ambition. I got godly ambition. All prayer, all grace, no wishes. I got godly ambition. See, I used to be all about mine. Nothing but money was on my mind. I ain't even care about wasting time. Moving in slow-mo, almost 9. How do you think I got this vibe? I was on the brink of losing my mind. I was gonna sink without no line. In too deep, couldn't see no line. But God ripped me in, told me I was his. It was like hit and rewind. He was like, I'ma rewrite. Everything wrong be right. How do you think I got this grind? Christ renewed my mind. Price went up like price, so yesterday ain't today. It's right. And we go hard like Vegas now. Cause we just trying to stay alive. Even after the day we die, we wanna be in paradise. Never know when it's time to go. Got the light, so we let it glow. Living on mission, a Christian. I play my position, don't see opposition. Cause I got godly ambition. I got godly ambition. All prayer, all grace, no wishes. I got godly ambition. Yeah. I got God.
Yo.
I got God.
Hey, we got the female MCs in the house tonight, man. So, Hey, right
Yeah,
from the womb. Y'all better pay
yeah.
attention. Y'all better pay attention.
Ah, yeah. We could have had a whole lot of folks up there, performing at the
Yeah. And by the way, while he taking a sip and a swallow,
at the
look,
inauguration.
we are supporting all local artists. Hey, you know what? We go expand it. If you in the continental US, you have an original song that is edited, clean, we go rock you. You know what I'm saying? We
You
everywhere. We
own
on Spotify,
original
iHeart,
music.
Pandora.
Original music. That does not
Yeah,
mean it's your lyrics. That is the instrumentals. Original.
indeed. Because guess what? If we get sued, you gonna get sued. But I ain't gonna tell nobody. So you gonna hear
Nah,
that from me.
I am. Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
Brody.
yeah, man. So lifers, if you just now joining us, if you tapping in, tonight's topic, My Truth Shall Live. We have special guest Miss Shantae Bennett. Um, quick recap. She's went through some things as a very young child that has taken her through this adulthood with a lot of burdens that she's had to carry in 2025. It's the year of truth. It's a lot of stuff that's gonna come out, and let the chips fall as they may. So the gentleman, well, I should say, really the child that was accused. You had said on your live a few weeks back that child's family was extremely upset. There was death threats, if I'm not mistaken, that was against you. Um, with with the accuser being law enforcement, like, were you really concerned that that party's family could harm you, or were you more afraid of the abuser than whatever was going on in the real world?
So it wasn't so much death threats. It was more so I couldn't leave the house. So this is why the abuse took such a psychological toll on me, is because after this young man was accused, or this boy was accused, I couldn't leave the home because his family was so angry at me. Every time I went outside, they wanted to fight me.
Mhm.
So I was stuck in the house with the real abuser. So not only did he take a portion of my childhood away, the portion where I couldn't go outside. I remember my cousins coming down from Florida and they wanting to go outside and play, and I'm just like, I can't. Like, for my safety, I can't. I remember my cousin like, girl, come on, I'll help you fight. And I'm just like, I can't, because I couldn't emotionally do it.
Yeah.
And they had every right to be upset with me, although they should have been upset with my abuser. But at this time, no one knew.
Yeah.
So he took that portion of my childhood from me, and then having to be in the home with him and him
Yeah.
taking my innocence is another portion that he took from me.
Yeah. Now, how did that kind of like change just the trajectory of your life? Like, what did that childhood events and those things, like, how do you deal with that just from a day to day now?
I guess acceptance, because for so long and that's a lot of the Black community, is that trauma is so normalized for us that we don't even realize we're living in turmoil. We don't even realize that a lot of our decisions are trauma responses. We don't even realize that. So with being in therapy now, I'm learning a lot more, and I'm realizing that, like, my therapist asked me, she was like, "How were your birthday parties when you were a child?" And it's never in my life bothered me, but then now I'm like, I've only had one. I've only had one birthday party my whole childhood. I'm like, darn, like, people really have birthday parties. So it's like I could never miss something I didn't have. I just had a very bad childhood, and trauma was just normal to me. But now that I'm an adult, I'm a big kid, because
Yeah.
I never had that. I'm a big kid. I spoil myself. I love myself. So I guess once I got over that hump of feeling unworthy and feeling guilty and feeling and shameful and feeling angry at the family, because it was just more than sexual abuse. Once I got over that hump and realized, like, I'm now responsible for my adult life, I'm now responsible for who I become. it became easier for me to just give myself everything that I've never had.
Man, she really dropped gems and spoke bars because we've had different shows that we've talked about that there's a 25-year-old stuck in the mindset of a 12-year-old
Yeah.
because that hurt that happened, you know what I'm saying? They're stuck
Hmm.
right there. So Shantae, for the last almost hour, you've kind of told it all from beginning to end, where you are now. Again, we go applaud your courage today. We're gonna step back and we'll give you the floor. Going forward, um, what are you looking to do? What advice do you have for, the parents of little girls as well as little boys? Because we are like, it don't happen to boys, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying the world act like it doesn't happen. Um, what would you say? Kind of, I'm gonna turn my camera off. Bro has this off. You got this floor, and just want you to speak from your heart. All right?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I want to say that this is a call to action. I'm sure that we are all aware of the Naziah Harris story, and how big and prevalent it is. And I want us to all know that there are other Naziah Harrises out there. There are other Naziah Harrises in our communities. Um, I hold her story so near and dear to me because I could have been her. Like I said earlier in this podcast, I believe my abuser was grooming me to be what he wanted me to be. The same way Naziah was groomed. And I believe if my mother hadn't moved us around so much and we were there consistently, um, my life would be totally different than it is now. Um, So I just want my story, Naziah's story, Maddie Soto. Like, I could be here all day naming names of young girls that have been sexually assaulted. Um, and some have survived to tell their stories and some have not. But I want these stories to not just die here, This is something that is very common in the Black community, whether we want to believe it or not. The truth of the matter is, Black women, we were raped when we were slaves, right? And then our own men began to rape us. Sexual assault in our community was really normalized. It was pretty common, and it was just passed down from generation to generation to generation, and it was just looked over, and children just suffered and suffered and suffered until someone broke the silence. It's going to take one person to be that one to break the cycle. Is it going to be easy to break the cycle? No, it's not. But I guarantee you, when your children come to you and they don't have to recover from the things that you had to recover from or the things that your parents had to recover from, it's going to be an amazing feeling. So I just encourage mothers, first and foremost, protect your children. Single mothers, sexual assault is higher with a single mother than it is with married couples. Be mindful of who you have around your children. Background checks there's nothing wrong with doing them. Really knowing people, and if they are on the Megan's list, or if they are a convicted sexual predator, no matter how many times society has given them a chance, you don't have to give them a chance. You don't have to. It's just not safe for them to be around your children. Um, the Black community, we have to stop minding our business. We need to get in each other's business. If your friend has a sex offender living with her, you need to be in her business. You need to be reporting. You need to be in her ear. Get that man out of your house. The older generation, you guys have to understand that it's we're not you. We respect you, we love you, and we understand that you guys think that this isn't such a big deal, but these cases, they change our lives. So it is a big deal. It is a big deal. And I just encourage survivors to just speak out. Speak out. Speak out, because the moment you speak out, you stop that predator from hurting another child. Speak out. Do it in your own time. Speak out.
It's good. Bro?
My bad. I'm talking and I'm still muted. But Shantae, again, we appreciate your courage though tonight, just putting it out there. Um, we pray that all will heed to the warnings, listen to, and most importantly, any other victims, and not just in your situation, but any situation, to step up and get that help that they need as well, because it's affecting countless people. So we appreciate you. We're gonna put you in the background. We'll give our final thoughts. We'll sign off on tonight. All right, go Birds.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Well,
Soapbox.
weird.
I can't say it any better than she said it. And I've said this before. We have to understand our children. We got to understand that when things start being out of the way, when they start acting a different way around a certain person, we have to listen. We understand that children have vivid imaginations, but there's nothing wrong in hearing what your child is saying. And even if you don't react to them, do some investigation for yourself. Because then you know for yourself, if by chance this thing were to happen to my child, at least I took the time to hear them, and I took the time to go and investigate. Hurt people, man. And that's it in a nutshell. We've talked about, toxic relationships, and a lot of times toxic relationships begin in this fashion because this is all I know. So you meet some people, they're not happy unless they're with someone that's always aggressive and, they just playing. And I'm talking about on both sides of the fence, male and female.
Yeah.
We have to teach our children, little boys, hey, keep your hands to yourself. Because in this day and age, you know what I'm saying? You never know what you could be subject to.
Very true.
Young women, understand that whether it's willingly or unwillingly, there's a road ahead. We're living in a day and age now that we have internet. Everybody got a cell phone. You see something, say something. Last thing I'm going to say, man, is that we have to keep our kids innocent as long as we possibly can. And you may say, Tony D, what you mean about innocent? A lot of times parents will live by the do as I say and not as I do. And we do certain stuff around our children, but our excuse for it is I'm grown. Allow your kids to have that innocence. Believe in Santa Claus, believe in the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know what I'm saying, it is.
Yeah.
Allow them to go outside and play and, be a kid. Because the crazy thing is that we never thought about being a child. Once that step is made into adulthood, whether it be by bad decision, whether it be by life, or whether it be by force, that is nothing anyone can ever do to bring that back. I'm gonna step down. Big facts.
Yeah. You gotta really be careful the comments that adults make. And a lot of times there's things that get said that are so common, but you need to take notice. This is for y'all moms and even the dads. You need to pay attention to when men make comments and that, or somebody says something like, "Oh, she gonna be built up just like her mama." Um, even women to make comment towards these little boys. He gonna be a heartbreaker. Y'all better watch him. You better watch her. She gonna be fast. See, I feel like
Boy.
you're not looking at no 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can keep going age girl, and nothing about her build should come out your mouth, and certainly shouldn't be equated to her mama who is doing grown people things. So man, y'all got to be careful with that. Don't trust the relationship. Know the person. Don't trust the title of that relationship. Oh, that's my brother. They can watch him. That's my stepsister. That's my goddaddy. That's my uncle. I've known, man. That don't mean jack. You better know the person. Um, Parents, stop leaving your kids with whoever just because you want to go kicking and hang out every night, Friday night, Saturday night, and you dropping your kid off at any and everybody's house because you trying to kick it and do grown up things, not realizing that unfortunately every household doesn't have it happening, but somebody might be doing some grown up things to your child or attempting, right? So to say that, bro, I feel like this. Parents, you need to choose your kids over the status of saying you in a relationship. You feel me? Like, don't be so quick to say you got a dude in your life that you're overlooking all the things that your child is telling you. And when I say that, man, don't get it twisted. When I'm saying that the child is telling you, it might not always be via words. You like me, like it might not be words. They might be telling you, like you said, bro, like you got a child, you know your child. Everybody swears up and down, I know my child. So if you know your child and they love to do something all of their life, all day and day, right? All day and day. And all of a sudden they have no interest in it anymore. Why you ain't click in? Why you ain't got no care or concern?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You only tripping off if your kid ate, and when they say chicken nuggets, you living, you good with that, but you have no clue whose house they been in. Man, stop letting YouTube raise your kids, bro. You know what I'm saying? Stop letting the microwave cook for your kids. Get in your kids' life. You in the house, but you're not in their life.
Yeah.
You're not teaching, talking, watching, protecting. You ain't nothing, but you swear it's your way of the highway. Look, everybody on here, man, and I said this and I'm gonna recap it, and I ain't gonna take too much longer, bro. But everybody was saying up and down, man, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying. And why would a survivor choose to wait, right? But I know situations where people just won't tell. It might be fear. Y'all got, first off, here's a child. Y'all kids lie. Y'all lifers out there, is people in the world, y'all kids is steady lying to y'all about something as simple as hygiene. Did you shower? Yeah. Body rag be dumb dry. Did you brush your teeth? Yeah. How? I meant to buy toothpaste last night and forgot. What you so your kids lied. Right. So why y'all mad that a 5-year-old got scared from an abuser, from a threatening scenario, and she chose to lie? How you mad? And you got a 10, 11, 12-year-old, the only kid you got in the house, peeing on the seat, and he lying talking about it wasn't him. But what makes you think this 5-year-old, and I'm kicking it in the form of a joke because I'm
I feel you. Yeah.
And it's only because I gotta make it that plain, bro. And the only way to make it plain to certain people that I'm seeing in her comments that was trying to come crazy, you know what I'm saying, towards her. Yeah. And get this clear. The Life Be Life and podcast, we're not there. So we're not standing in the position of, oh, we speaking and we word bonding everything that, no, we listen, we weren't there. But what we gonna say is there's a way she's trying to get this truth out. And we gonna extend the olive branch to the abuser's family. Y'all know the line. Y'all see what it is. Even Scotty hit us and said we the best duo he's seen since Wings and Reds. Scotty, we're extending the olive branch out. You can hit us up. We would love to hear your response, and we would love to hear when you gonna jump on the Steve Wilkos show. We had 2 seasons back, bro. We had a young lady on the episode, and she told her story, and her story dealt with sexual assault.
Right.
As she was giving her wrap up, bro, she said something that I will never not be able to hear in my head as long as God gives me memory. She said, in speaking to other survivors, she called it, her words, "You will never be the same."
Never.
Bro, that took me out that day, right?
Yeah.
Because when you think of the fact that somebody will never be the same, but you got the nerve to have people, especially out of all the people, females, that are saying you lying, right? But knowing that these people, it's people that have been abused that can know they can't even get pregnant.
Yeah.
Their inner working organs have been so damaged by a selfish, demon-driven, lust-driven person that they was willing to not only, man, look, it's people that are dealing with things to this day. It's people that had to go full term and carry a child because the laws for abortion in that state did not allow it, even if it came from a sexual assault. There's states that we know, bro, to where they chopping up all of these out. Like you got murder 1, murder 2, murder 3. How many people out there knew that it's rape 1, rape 2, rape 3, sexual assault, sexual battery? Like what you mean? And in all honesty, bro, if you Google them all, they have the same definition. They just carry various times ranging from probation all the way up to 25, 30. And what boils down to is how well we teach our kids on what things are. Stop teaching your kids to call it a PP. Teach them anatomy. It ain't nasty if it's the actual word, but the fact that your child doesn't know it, and if something happens and they can't say it in front of the judge and jury, that person that they're accusing, they walk. So, bro, as we wrap up tonight, man, I think I'm really looking forward to hearing more people just come out and just say, you know what, we're gonna break the cycle, because everybody says tonight, hurt people hurt people. She gave the scenario that somebody that was once an alcoholic, they slipped, they returned back to that. And so, yeah, so the sheer fact that she did not become an abuser, because how many times do you hear people that are sexually assaulting others? It's because they were sexually assaulted. There's a lot of trauma that we talking about. You got some young ladies, bro, is in same-sex relationships, and while y'all out here judging them, talking about they of the world, I ain't finna attack her church, because I do remember that episode, Evicted from God's House, that they was a part of, because how they got played, neither here nor there. But a lot of y'all are judging people for their sexuality and what they like. And sometimes it's a direct result because of some of the things that parents and adults weren't there to protect, had no wherewithal, no mental fortitude, no desire. They didn't want to step in and do jack, bro. You know why? They too busy cutting spades. They too busy talking to their homegirls. You lying. It's all of that. Get back to parenting. Cut it. I'm D to the J. Still in the building like I ain't never left. Shout out to heaven. Still a G thing. Every day, all day.
I'm gonna say this on our way out, man.
Yeah.
As 2 men, and we both have, daughters. I really find it a privilege that we're able to sit on this platform and other women feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Coming on.
Feel safe enough.
Feel safe.
Facts.
Telling their truth.
Man.
And we appreciate that. But understand, y'all, we're here for the community. Why?
Absolutely.
Because life go keep on lifing. And we're going to be here to talk about it. I'm your host, Tony D.
And I'm your host, D to the J. Still in the building like I ain't never let. Man, I almost did that like Bone, but I ain't want to take you out groovy like that. Yo, stay tuned. Find us everywhere that your mama says, because we her favorite comedians. We on Apple, Spotify, iHeart,
Pandora,
the use of the tubes. We everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We was gonna do TikTok, but yeah, you know, they playing games with that, so we'll holler.
Yeah.
See
y'all next week.
Till next week. We out. Love.
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tap in with your boys. Your host, Tony D to the J. Every Wednesday, Life Be Life and Podcast. And you know, talk about it.